back on Jackie's Lantern Corner. I am Jackie, and even though I just did kind of a update of how my reading is going, because we had just come back from my grandma's a few days ago, and I talked to you guys about what I read when I went there, and that, but I kind of wanted to, I just want to, film another one for you guys. It is St. Patrick's Day, so in honor of the holiday, I am wearing green, and I'm even wearing a green bracelet and this little necklace that I have that has a little clover. I don't know if it's a 4-leaf clover or not on it, but I figured, you know what? Why not? Why not have some fun since I don't have to go to work today. I was off today. And with the dress I'm wearing, I don't wear these kinds of dresses that often because, I don't go out that often places that, where I need to wear a dress. And my dad did suggest maybe we'll go to this Irish pubs that's in the village area. We might do that tonight. Get our corned beef and cabbage, or like get something else Irish themed. Normally my mom would probably have made it by now, but she's with my grandma because my grandma had a fall, and so now she needs to get her back fixed, and that's part of why we went down there the other day when I had the 3 days off, so that we could be there for her and help out. Then we had to go back because we had to come back, of course, because I had to work. And so, everything, it turned out okay for my grandma. So far, everything's good. We did have a little bit of a scare, but everything worked out. The last update I heard is that everything's okay. She's doing all right. And I don't know how long my mom's going to stay. The original plan was she was going to come back on Monday, but she might have to stay longer. So, which is good for her, which is fine for her because she doesn't have to, she's only part-time at work, so she can do that, well, I can't. I have to plan ahead of time. I mean, unless something like happens, then my work is very understanding. My boss is very understanding. If something happens where I need to take off, but thankfully nothing happened, nothing bad. Like I said, my grandma's okay. But anyway, I made some progress on the Red and the Black. And I'm liking the second half is a little more interesting. Like, I mean, the romance in the first half was a sweet story, and I felt bad for Julian, although he sometimes was kind of, his whole pridefulness and his resentfulness because of, he's not wealthy, he's not one of the rich people, was a little like he was constantly, thinking he knew what he was getting with them, and it kind of got in the way of his relationship because the two lovers just didn't know how the other one felt all the time, and they would misinterpret each other's reactions, and it just drove me nuts. And just he's constantly assuming that every single rich person is out to get him and is, doesn't like him or is jealous, or it's like he doesn't trust people, and it kind of gets in the way of potential love interest. Now, of course, in the case of his first lover, Madame Renaud, she was married, so that didn't really help his case either. I do like the second half, like I said, when he's in the seminary and he's actually, becoming, like, getting up there in status in society. He's made friends with the Marquise, and he kind of has to hide his old identity as a son of a carpenter. He can't tell anyone that, and is getting advice constantly from the Abbe Paris or PR, or I don't know how to say his name. I unfortunately do not know the French language. And how to handle his situation and everything, and he found there is a potential new love interest for him. And this new love interest, Matilda, is, I like her a little bit better than Madame Renaud because she's a little more, she's more self-assured and less like prone to misinterpret every little thing. Like, I mean, we are at this point, we are getting back to that whole, like, does he love me? Does she love me? That whole back and forth between them. We still get that, but I think Matilda's a little more confident and less second guessing things. But all the like how he's, his interactions with the upper class is always interesting, and then he always is like wondering what they're thinking, and they're always judging. I mean, this is, I mean, yeah, his distrust of them is not entirely unfathomable. They're often like just judging him and talking about him behind his back, and they're a bit hypocritical because the higher he gets in status, they're like kissing his ass and being all nice to him, while before they would talk about him behind his back and give him looks of "you're not one of us" kind of thing. But yeah, I'm definitely liking the second half a lot better than the first one. The first half of the book. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm finding this a really interesting read, and seeing Julian's journey, becoming like trying to, get higher in status, but still maintaining his beliefs in his faith, and him being a fanboy of Napoleon and his way of thinking about society, and how, yeah, he wants to become part of the upper class because he doesn't like being treated like he's something they just stepped in. And he's kind of, and I think he knows that he can't survive without, being part of this. So in a way, it's like he's going undercover, even though, I mean, not on purpose, but just kind of being part of it while having his toe still in, still knowing where he comes from and his status in life, and knowing that if they all found out that he was the son of a carpenter, then they would be back to looking down on him, and they were like, how dare you try to manipulate us to thinking you're worth something. That kind of response. So I am almost done. I'm trying to, but it is a bit slow going, but the chapters aren't super long. I mean, there are some chapters that are longer than others, so I'm making progress. And I guess that is that. And then I have not started Ninth Reign yet, which is I'm reading on here. I have not started that one yet. I don't know when I'll start this. I don't know if I'll get to that one in this month, or maybe wait until the summer. But I did buy it on my Kindle so I could have it. And I was interested in getting the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, which I didn't know anything about that. But once I heard what it actually is, which is a demon father writing to his demon son, telling him how to corrupt this person to evil, like writing letters to him. So it's kind of I think it would be considered a satire. So it sounded really fun. But and at first I thought when I looked at it on Amazon, I thought, it's free on Kindle. But then I went looked for it on my actual Kindle, and it's not free. I mean, it doesn't cost a whole lot, but still, it's not, it's like $9.99 or something. So at some point, I would love to get that. I don't know when, but I still have not got. I'm planning to listen to the audiobook of A House with Good Bones by T. King Fisher on here on my Libby app, but it hasn't come in yet. I still got 4 weeks to go before it comes in. And then after that, maybe I'll start Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I don't know, but I want to start that one soon so that maybe I can talk to my so I can talk about it, because we're finally in a position where we can actually talk. We can both talk about the book. Like there's a lot of books that she will have read that I read years ago, but I barely remember enough, unless it's like an all-time favorite book to really talk about it. Like I originally did think about reading Son of a Witch by Gregor Maguire because she had just read that book, I think. But I haven't done it yet, and I felt bad because I told her I would this month, but I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. Because like I said, when the books I was inspired to take to my grandma's when we went a couple days ago, that was not one of them. And so I don't know if I'll get to that one hopefully soon. Like I said, I want to, with the bigger books and with series, I don't want years to go in between the next books or finishing the big book. So I'm definitely still trying to work on that. I'm still struggling with that, unfortunately. Like, I just started my reread of The Stand. I just started my reading The Stand again because, originally it was one of those ones where I had the mass market originally, and I eventually exchanged it for this tie-in edition. I don't know if it's the I don't think it's the I don't know if it's the tie-in to the original miniseries. I think it's the miniseries because I don't think that's I think it's from the miniseries tie-in edition. And I had wanted to come back to it, but I didn't for a long time. And I recently documented all my books going by the first letter of the title and counting how many books I have of that letter. And whichever ones I have the most of, I need to whichever letter I have the most of, basically whichever books that I have, if I have a lot of books that have titles that start with the letter A, not counting A by itself, like A something, but where it's where if it has animals the first word in the title, or like Anthropomorph, something like that, or whichever one I have the most, whichever whichever title starting with the most. I'm having a hard time explaining. I organized it alphabetically by title, and then whichever letters I had the most books with a title that started with that letter, those are the ones that I need to read next. So I noticed that I have a lot of S titles that start with the letter S, all titles that start with the letter L, a lot of M titles, and this was an S one, so I ended up bringing it with me. Of course, the problem is this is a long book. And again, I'm trying to not get tempted to pick up a bunch of short books just to finish them, but this is in the 1,000 pages. This is 1,152 pages. So it's a chunker. And now, of course, this is a complete and uncut edition of it. So that's why I brought this one. I did finally start, and I was kind of in the middle of the chapter, which I am again. So I probably need to read this soon. But I was also trying to finish The Red and the Black. So I was going back and forth between reading this one and then reading The Stand when I was in bed. And so while I was thinking about my grandma, I finally decided to pick up my next book that takes place in the Philippines or has to do with the Philippines, and that's this collection of short stories, In the Country, which I forgot this was a collection of short stories. And I read the first 2 stories in this. So the first one is this man from Stephen, who's living in New York, comes home to the Philippines, his dad has liver cancer, so he's dying. So he's coming home to help his mom run their store that they have and take care of his dad, who was abusive and an alcoholic. And he's reminiscing about his childhood in the Philippines and watching his mom struggle to take care of his abusive father. And he even brings home these patches that will make the pain go away for his father. But at the moment, it is not, they cannot use these. They have not come to the Philippines. So, he's on thin, so if he had got caught bringing these, then he would get in some big trouble. But yeah, it was a good one. I like that story. I like the story. Just seeing him remember, and just hearing all these things that I've, hearing references to things I do know a little bit of, like they love in the Philippines, they love karaoke. My dad actually we had a karaoke system growing up, so my friends and my sister's friends would always come over and hang out in our basement, and we would, do karaoke, and he would, my dad would run a karaoke system at parties and stuff, and of course all the food references and of course I've heard, I recognize the Filipino, the dialect and the way they speak, and like I definitely could hear the voices in my head of these characters, and it was a sad one, but it was a good story. And the second story I read, that one was called, let me see if I can pronounce. I don't know if I'm saying it right, because like I said, I don't know Tagalog. Contrabida is what the first story was called. The second story is called The Miracle Worker, about this woman. Now I need to look up where she lives, because I don't know where this city, that she lives in. But this woman, she's married to, a man who he runs a company, or he works at a local business, has, work. So they're pretty, middle, like, well off, not rich, but they're very good financially. And she is a teacher, and she ends up this Arab woman shows up and has found out from her friend who works as her maid that her only daughter, has a disfigurement. She is mentally still a baby, and so this mom wants her child to have someone teach her skill and help her become, like, develop the skills, so she can grow up, quote unquote, normally. So she hires our main character, and she has these high expectations that her daughter will become will be like Helen Keller and make these great achievements. And our main character is not as strongly to believe that, because this girl her disabilities are very strong, and it's hard to and she can't fathom that this girl will actually become some, like, genius or something. But she takes the job because she's going to get paid a lot by it, and she does want to help this little girl. We also kind of see we find out that her friend who works for the family, that she's gonna participate in a what's the term? She's gonna participate in a strike, because all these Filipino workers want to go on strike, and she's so confident. Our main character feels guilty that she is not doing more to show support to her friend. Like, she doesn't want to she's not going to go on strike, but she does want to do her part. So she's a little less hands-on with the girl, but she still helps her. And it even makes her want to, want to have her own kids, even though for the longest time she and her husband were not interested in kids. All of a sudden she does want kids. Sorry, my throat got tickled a little bit. I think I might be I hope I'm not getting sick, but I think I might be. But, yeah, so, and that one was kind of, the second one was a little longer than the first one. And then third story is going to be Legends of the White Lady, so I don't know what that's going to be about, but I know that a lot of, there's the whole urban legend of the woman in white, and I think a lot of people, a lot of cultures have their version of that story, I think. So it could be what they're talking about with that title. I do not know, but I am curious. But I really, I like short stories because, I think reading short stories can really help. If you're I feel, if you're going through a reading slump or something, I think short stories are good ideas to, if you're worried about your progress in your reading. I think that's a good, good thing to consider, reading short stories. But anyway, so far these are really good. I mean, I'm not normally a short story kind of person, but I don't know, maybe because I connect in a small way to these stories. I feel connected to them. I don't know. Or, I mean, and also they feel like stories. They feel like they have a beginning, middle, and end. Like, there's some times, like some of Stephen King's shorter works, his shorter stories don't always feel like they have a beginning, middle, and end. Like, sometimes they feel like you're being dropped in the middle. I mean, granted, the first story, I did feel that a little bit. Because you were like, I could see this being a part of a larger story. Like the first one. Like, kind of the life story of the main character, Stephen. And his, and I could see it being like, oh, you get his childhood. And then, all the way up into, his either his death or or just like I could see it being part of, like I said, I could see it being part of a larger story, like a coming of age story. But it was still good. It still felt complete. I still it still felt complete. I still enjoyed it. But yeah, I'll probably read the Legends of the White Lady. Maybe I'll read that tonight. Sometime this evening. Like I said, we're thinking about doing we're gonna go out to this Irish pub in the village. So, and I don't know when we're gonna go. Like I said, my dad just said, let's get an early dinner. Because, of course, it's probably gonna be super busy. But anyway, I don't know what I'm gonna read once I don't know what. I kind of want to, like I said, I want to get back to The Stand, but there's other books I'm thinking about. Like, Sword Song is the next book, I think, in the Saxon series by Bernard Cornwell. I might read that one. I might read Shirley. Like I said, I think my books that start with the letter S have the most. So I want to try to read some of my books with a title that starts with S. And I keep thinking, now that I got this new copy of The Count of Monte Cristo, a little bit nicer copy, less beaten up. Not that I threw my books on the ground. I mean, you saw it wasn't. If you watched my previous video, you know it wasn't terrible, but it was a little like the cover was not as smooth. Which I mean, I know. I don't mind well-read books. Like I don't mind A Broken Spine. But I gotta admit, I am shallow when I see shiny new books in this kind of version, and I can get it without spending like $20 or more. Then I might consider it, especially if it's a favorite. And this is a favorite. And even though I've said in the past, I don't have the room for multiple copies of my favorite books. Sometimes I make an exception. Now I will take on my Amazon wishlist. I do have the cloth bound edition. So I will probably take that off. I will take that off my Amazon wish list. I keep freaking do that, but I will do that because, I mean, my birthday's coming up in a couple months. And I will feel that if someone buys me that, and I just bought this copy of The Count of Monte Cristo. I mean, but yeah, which I think I'm thinking about looking up, is this a nicer maybe this is a better translation, and that might excuse it. But let's face it, I did not need to buy this copy. My other copy was, like I said before, was perfectly fine. It was still readable, but I kind of saw this it was being greedy. But I am thinking about reading this now that I got this new copy, starting this again. And I did think about reading, continuing with John Adams, because I just got the book on Samuel Adams, his cousin. And there's actually a new show coming out about it's more like I don't know if it's like a mini series or a limited series, like maybe the John Adams one starring Paul Giamatti. It might be like that one. I saw that's coming out. But unfortunately I think that's gonna be on Hulu, which is annoying. I mean, that's what's annoying. That's how they get you, because you can't, it's not like you can, I mean, you could, but it's not like you can buy every single streaming network unless you can afford to. So I'm not going to always get every single streaming network, and some of these networks like Disney Plus is not. I don't pay for that. I mean, the original intention was me to contribute to that, but then my sister wouldn't take it, so it's like, there will be shows that also I see the preview for on YouTube, and I'm like, ooh, that looks really good. But then I realize, oh, it's on Paramount, or it's on Hulu, or something. And it's really annoying, because I want to watch it. But it's like, it might be the only one I'm interested in on that streaming network. So it's like, why should I waste money if there's only one show that I want to watch? I mean, it's the same one where I was considering getting to Avatar: The Last Airbender. I was considering watching the animated series for the first time, and I can't get it because it cost a lot of money. It costs money, not a huge amount, but it still costs. Still costs money. I still have to purchase it, and I'm not the one paying for these. So yeah, it's really annoying when the trailers like gets you interested in, then you realize, oh, I don't have that streaming network. And but like I said, it's the Ben Franklin thing, his time when he went to France, which I think that was before Jefferson went to France, I think. Like, it was Franklin and Adams who were in France together. But it was Franklin was a more smooth talker and better at charming the French and wooing them and winning them over than Adams. And I guess eventually Jefferson went, I think. I mean, I know he went, but I don't know when. Like, I guess Franklin, he couldn't go for some reason. Or I think at one point, from when I read the John Adams biography by David McCall, I think at one point Franklin had to leave or something. Like he did something to offend people, or or something. It's been a few months since I read that part of the John Adams biography, so I don't remember exactly the details of why Franklin ended up leaving France. I mean, I would know if I could watch the show. But anyway, it looked good though. So if you have Hulu, I think it's on Hulu. So if you have Hulu and are interested in history, interested in Franklin, then you might want to check that out. I don't remember what it was called though. But, and then there's, since in that video I mentioned Native Son and I bought The Invisible Man. So I might pick up that's another one I'm thinking about, Native Son to pick up. And, when you get to Clash of Kings and The Name of the Rose, which would technically be perfect for March Mystery Madness because it is a bit of a murder mystery in that book, the plot. And then there's Shadow in the Night I need to get to as well, and get back to. I basically have a lot of books that I need to get back to. So I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I kept thinking, oh, I could do a TBR video like a lot of people are, but or at least tell you guys what books I'm gonna pick up next, but I don't know when it's gonna be. And which is why I'm not doing my TBRs anymore, because then there's so many books that I want to read, and I can't narrow it down to just a few. And then when we go and visit family, I end up being inspired to pick other books to bring with me, and it's not always the ones I'm in the middle of that I should continue with. So that can throw me off too when we go on trips and stuff. But I keep thinking, I'll just pick up, a couple books, and like I'm thinking about before I come home and before I look at my shelves. But then as soon as I look at my shelves, I'm like, oh, I want to read that one. Oh, and I want to read that one too, and that one. So it's just, it's so easier when you think about it beforehand and plan it. But then once I get to looking at my shelves, and it's not that easy. It's a very hard decision to make. But anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to, update you guys on what I'm currently reading. Would love to know. Maybe you might be reading something different than, what my last video. So if you want to share if you're reading something different, then if you're reading, then share that in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification button if you want to be notified about my latest videos. I hope you are enjoying your reading. And happy St. Patrick's Day. All right. Bye.